Well, if you said yes to both of those things, then there's a good chance you're probably a little tired of our local Cleveland Brown sports media. Same old thing, day after day, night after night. It's time to hang the cleats up. It's time to pass the torch. If you're looking for something fun, something fresh, something where four people literally smack themselves in the face over and over with hot take after hot take, then my boys at Down with the Browns is where you want to be. It's just good for your soul. Available on Apple Podcast, YouTube, and Twitter. Getting down with the Browns.
And welcome back to another episode of Dine with the Browns.
Let's go, baby. Let's get it.
You're here with KFC, Manny, and the Buffalo.
What's good, Mac? I like the shape look.
Yeah.
I like the shape
Yeah,
look.
yeah. Thank you. Notice I'm wearing my Miller Lite T-shirt instead of Browns T-shirt, just because this team makes me want to drink. It's pretty bad watching good coaching elevate Skylar Thompson and Daniel Jones, and then our coaching de-elevates Deshaun Watson. But hey, like, we had some good football on this weekend, guys. As long as we take us out of the equation, just not think about it. Like, I had a pretty good time watching the playoffs. A lot of explosive offense, which was sick to see. What do you guys think of this weekend?
Oh my goodness, so many great games this weekend. I was under the weather for the past couple of days, but I mean, Seattle and San Francisco, that was a fantastic game. I was wrong. I thought that it was going to be impossible to beat a team 3 times in one season. Bam, Mac. What's up, Jeff? How we doing? Jeff?
Jeff's upset. Jeff's upset because I called out Brandon Staley. Okay, and he wanted to make a whole conversation about it. Yeah, Jeff. Yeah. Oh,
Brandon
by
Staley.
the way,
Staley
isn't that a wild thing? They were like, oh my God, we love him just because he beat Mountain Union by a field goal one time at John Carroll. All of a sudden he's just hot stuff.
What's
Dude,
up, Drew?
Good evening, Andrew.
But
I don't
Listen,
get it.
Can I shut down? Can I just shut down all the Brandon Staley stuff? Like, please,
Shut it
God,
down. Shut it
no. My God.
Shut it down.
He is such an analytical defensive coordinator, too. He would probably fit with these guys, But please, no, get me a football guy in there. I don't want a guy.
Can you believe that he has a bottom 5 run defense the past 2 years?
Let's get him. He'd fit our scheme.
Insane. Joey
He'd fit our
Bosa and the boys.
personnel.
Like,
You just
He's got talent on that defensive line.
he's got
There's
so
no
much
excuse.
talent on that defense.
I mean, you know what's
what
crazy?
happened?
I don't understand the halftime
What
adjustment.
happened?
How you can be 27-0 and then you can't make halftime adjustments, and then you let Trevor Lawrence walk him down and then hit up Waffle House after the game. It's one of the craziest things that I've ever seen. You know what I mean? It's extremely crazy. It's extremely crazy. Jeff said I don't want Staley. Just wanted to argue with Mac. Get Mac started. Get the
That's all you gotta
get me fired up. Yeah.
Sometimes I just say random stuff in our group chat just to get Mac fired up.
And I take the bait every time.
Yeah,
I take
he
it
falls
every
for it.
time. Dude,
Every time.
it'll be
Every time.
it'll be like 1:30, and I haven't checked the group chat for like hours, and I'll just see just some wild stuff, and I'll just immediately like, no, that's not how. No, that's not what the facts say. Like, I'll take it. I'll take it hook, line, and sinker, and he'll just be like, what was the one the other day saying Ramsey and who had the same agent?
Oh, Watson and Ramsey have the same agent.
Yeah, and I, like, before you even typed out the next thing, I was like, don't you even start.
Well, I was just
I mean-
saying, I was like, I just didn't know that they had the same agent because, like, he posted some pictures on his
Some cryptic
Instagram.
stuff.
No, the agent he posted where he was at the game and with Ramsey, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that, and I just kind of texted it in the group chat, and then Mac's like, don't you say it? No. It takes him 15 because he don't text in paragraphs. He texts in different messages. So it's like
In different messages, single messages.
Oh yeah, I'm. If you guys have ever seen that like meme of somebody just sitting behind like a light machine gun with
Yes.
just, like a ton of
Yes.
just text ammo, that's me. Yeah, I don't do the paragraphs.
Whoa, boys, you hear that?
I hear something.
Oh man,
I hear
it's
something.
what the Buffalo heard.
Let's get it, baby.
To all the Browns fans that want Brandon Staley as the Browns' new defensive coordinator, just a PSA, the Cleveland Clinic is now offering free head examinations with Proof Insurance. This is Mac with What the Buffalo Heard. Welcome back from a very wild card weekend. We witnessed some amazing gameplay, including Trevor Lawrence leading a huge comeback win after being down 4 scores to the Chargers. Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski was asked about his thoughts on this weekend. He stated, "It's very tough seeing these great games while sitting at home, knowing it could have been us out there. We could have easily blown a 27-point lead." In other news, last night, 2 of the Browns' division rivals faced off as the Kentucky Bengals beat the Baltimore Ratbirds 24-17. This game left many Browns fans laughing, considering Baltimore's backup QB had 2 crucial turnovers and still has a better playoff passer rating that's 30 points higher than Lamar Jackson's. Lastly, this week, the Browns front office continued to interview more candidates for the defensive coordinator position, including Seattle associate head coach Sean Desai. Desai would be the perfect man to fill Wood's shoes, considering while as a defensive coordinator with the Bears, his defense was bottom 10 in points, passing TDs allowed, and turnover percentage. GM Andrew Berry was quoted saying, "Sean is a perfect hire, considering we need another scapegoat for Kevin Stefanski in 2023. This is Mac with What the Buffalo Heard.
That's perfect. That is perfect. Considering the fact that we could have potentially blown a 27-point lead. Actually, you know what? I don't know if we would have blown a 27-point lead. Do you guys think
because we wouldn't have scored that many? You're right.
We probably. I think that given 27 points at half, I don't know if Cleveland would have blown the 27-point lead. That. Shout out to Andrew. Great job on that, Mac. That was amazing. I don't know if we would have blown 27. But again, was that your favorite playoff game this weekend?
Yes.
The Chargers with or Jacksonville or
just because of a little text. I did tweet this out the other day. Somebody texted in our group chat because they picked the Chargers to win that game. And they said they called us analytical nerds and we didn't know football because, the Chargers were up 27-0. And, Jacksonville did come back, and Jacksonville was my pick to win that game.
Jacksonville was your pick.
And I wonder who did pick the Chargers out of the Down with the Browns crew. And
you know what? You know who picked the Chargers? That would have been me. Because never did I think in a million years that they would blow it. You have one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL. You have the best red zone running back in Austin Eckler, and you can't score more than 3 points in a half. I mean, no disrespect to the Jaguars defense, but I mean, Tennessee scored more in the second half, and they were on their 3rd string QB. Like
you gotta. It's something in the water with Jacksonville right now, and there's certain teams that you can see that Doug Peterson does something, and Doug Peterson even did the same thing with the Eagles on that Super Bowl run too. There's just something. Wentz was out. You just felt a little different around the team, and that's what I kind of saw. That's why I picked Jacksonville. I think that Jacksonville is going to potentially win one more game and then they'll be out. But that's what I think. I wouldn't put it past them to win one more game.
So here's what I've got to say about that.
Matty B said on Twitter, I picked the Jags as well. Matty B just said that on Twitter. So shout out to Matty B. Being smart.
Matty B, let's go.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
No, he was talking about the last game.
Oh no, last game. Yeah.
But the reason I picked, I was like pretty confident in the Jags coming back is because of coaching. And I made it clear. I said, if anybody can choke that lead, it's Brandon Staley. And Doug Peterson's a heck of a coach. He's a football guy, not an analytical nerd, like Max said. But football guys win games, and a proven head coach like Doug Peterson is going to win that football game 9 out of 10 times.
Really, really quick. I want to get in my favorite game. My favorite game was the game with our division rivals, Cincinnati and Baltimore. I think that game was insane. Insane. That game was Sam Hubbard with that 98-yard fumble return. I was watching it live, and then all of a sudden I see Tyler Huntley. I thought it was a touchdown, so I kind of put my head down a little bit, but then all of a sudden I picked it up because I heard like everybody at Paycor screaming, and then I see Sam Hubbard running down. Shout out to James Harrison, and I running down the field. I'm like, no way! And then I saw the replay. And I'm like, Tyler Huntley did not get across the line. He did not get across the line. So I'm like, that was a fantastic game by the Cincinnati Bengals, and I think they shut up a lot of people. I think that was the first hump that they needed to get over. I believe personally that they're going to go into Buffalo and win. I really do believe that they're going to beat Buffalo. I mean, I really do. It's going to be so crazy. Matty B says the Chiefs defense is really crazy. Well, you don't think
I'm groaning very
up,
aggressively. Oh, who day, more like who dat. Let's get something straight. Okay, so I get it. Buffalo struggled, and why did Buffalo struggle? Because they were going for the home run ball almost every single play, and it was ridiculous. Now, granted, that's where Miami's weak spot is, and you know, because of going for the home run ball a lot, it was a lot of turnovers. They're going to get back to basics this week, and Cincinnati's lucky that they didn't get an upset in their own place. I mean, outside of that 99-yard TD. Ravens might have won it because then they wouldn't have had to gone for the touchdown, and you know Justin Tucker's automatic.
But
so Jonah Williams has a dislocated kneecap.
So
that's your left tackle, and Jackson Carman, a guy who's been benched the past 2 years, being a second-round pick, is going to be your left tackle now. No.
Jay Will says absolutely not. Jay Will on Twitter says absolutely not. That wouldn't have happened.
Do you guys see that?
Oh, I do.
I think it's that time of the show. It's Matty G yard time.
Matty G's yard.
He's back, baby.
What's up? Just got out of the showers.
You know, I can't hear him. Is he on mute?
No, I can hear.
You're gonna have to hop out.
No, I'm back. You know,
what's going Matty G?
You know, prison wasn't too bad today. At the Chow Hall, they had popcorn chicken, which was good.
Popcorn chicken in the yard.
And slop. So Matty G, what was your record so far? The Tampa Bay and the Cowboys game has not started just quite yet. But so far, what is your record playoff prediction wise?
I'm 4-1. I had the Vikings beating the Giants. That's my only blemish so far.
Yep. Same.
Yeah. I also had that. Were you right on that? I just want to get quickly back. I just want to talk about that Bengals game one more time because Matty G, I want what your interpretations were. Do you think that the Bengals had that game the entire time? And also very quickly, do you think that they'll beat Buffalo?
No, I think they're gonna get destroyed by the Buffalo. I think they're gonna get destroyed by Buffalo. I'll tell you this right now. The Bengals are I just don't think they're that good at this point. Because here's the thing is like, let's be completely honest here. Hold on. Like I know like all the Bengals fans are like yada yada yada. That Sam Hubbard play is a 1 out of a million chain of events that happened, and it took that to beat a backup quarterback. And let's also talk about how there was an obvious block in the back on Mark Andrews. Like Joey B is a fraud, you know. Like let's talk about this. Like at the same time, like the Bengals, the only reasons that the Bengals have had the success that they've had is that this is now the 4th playoff win in a row that they have had a once-in-a-lifetime fluke go their way. Excuse me, 3 times. They should have beaten the Raiders. All right. Against the Titans, it took the Titans kicker missing 2 field goals and Ryan Tannehill throwing 3 interceptions. The Bengals had to win on a walk-off field goal. All that happened, and they still didn't win on a walk-off field goal. Pat Mahomes played the worst game of his career, and they still had to win in overtime. And then yesterday, Tyler Huntley was not that great. And the thing is that number 3 for the Ravens should have caught that ball. That was a design tip drill play. That the play that the Ravens ran. Like the thing is, if you look through this, the Bengals, if they have anything, they're luck. They're nothing but luck. In their entire franchise is nothing but luck. And the thing is like Joey B. Eventually, those hits are gonna come up to him. Like he's not gonna have any knees left. You know, I can't wait for that day. I don't like Joey B. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh.
Hair down to the Browns. We do not condone anybody getting injured. This is just purely said out of spite and hate.
Yes.
Jay Will said on Twitter, Matty G is cooking with fish grease right now. He's cooking. He loves it.
He's cooking.
Matty G's got a point though.
I mean, the thing is,
can I give some pushback?
Okay. Let's say this.
Some pushback.
Okay, if Lamar starts that game, who wins that game?
Touchdowns. The other thing, have you ever noticed one thing?
They would have lost if Lamar.
You ever noticed one thing about the Cincinnati Bengals? They don't have bad. Apparently, they don't have bad weather in Cincinnati. Have you ever noticed how for playing in the AFC North, the Bengals always seem to be playing on a nice clear night, no wind, no nothing? Seriously.
Oh, come on.
Hold on.
Now it's the weather. Now
Christian
they
will
have
tell you, it's actually pretty beautiful down in Kentucky.
Listen. I think I want to give some defense to Cincinnati.
Weather conditions are a thing though. Like they don't. Their entire offense is built around throwing the ball down the yard. The rain limits that. They've never played a game in the rain in the Joe Burrow administration. Isn't that a little bit odd? Like let's talk about the division they play in, and like before let's talk about this. Like that's a factor. Like Cincinnati has had everything go their way, and they still.
I want to back Taylor up. I want to back Taylor up and back Cincinnati up. And I hate doing this because Matty G's put me in this position. Taylor's completely correct. First and foremost, they're asking for Andrew Whitworth to play on their offensive line right now. Okay, they're working with a crazy offense.
Top 5 quarterback doesn't matter.
But here's the listen, 51 times he was sacked last year. It was 51 times he was sacked. He was sacked last year, leading the league tremendously in getting sacked. But first and foremost, I want to talk about Cincinnati. We're talking about a division rival, the AFC North. Because we're looking at the Buffalo Bills and this Miami Dolphins close game there. Same thing. When you're dealing with a division rival that you're playing 3 times in one season, you're going to have situations like this where the game is a little bit closer because they know you very well and things like that. If Lamar Jackson was playing, who knows? They would have been playing differently for Lamar Jackson. But there's things you can do. Tyler completely. He's like, you're right. It doesn't matter. Went to the Super Bowl with that crap offense line.
What I'm saying is, and the other thing is, let's be completely honest here. The Bengals won't be a threat in 2 years because Joe Burrow won't be there in 2 years. Mike Brown can't afford to pay my salary. You
don't think Joe Burrow is going to take a little hometown discount?
He wants that guaranteed money. Mike Brown, and this is what I don't think people understand. Mike Brown does not physically have the money to pay Joe Burrow. What he would have to do is he would have to sell equity of the team or issue savings bonds to pay Joe Burrow. Like, I'm not even making this up. Like, this isn't like Matty G being like, oh, whatever. Like, I
don't think Manny has seen their practice stadium.
It's literally.
Don't they have an indoor? I'm pretty sure they have an indoor facility now.
No, dude. This is like a marshmallow exploded, and it's like right on the side of the bridge. Every time I drive to Cleveland, I look at it and I make fun of it. I just kind of laugh. But
you have to understand, Mike Brown is not Mike. There's a difference between someone being worth something in stock and equity owned and having liquid capital. The reason why the Haslams were able to pay Deshaun Watson is because they had $230 million that they could just write a check to Deshaun Watson. Because what people don't understand is when you pay $230 million, like this isn't doled out every year. Mike Brown will have to go and write a check for however it's probably to be closer to $300 million at that point and put it in escrow.
Listen, I agree with Matty B. I agree with Matty B in the Twitter comments. Mike Brown's going to pay Joe Burrow first and foremost.
See, he would pay Burrow, but it would be the other guys that wouldn't get the cash. That's how I would look at it.
Yeah,
like, it'd be like Jamar Chase.
I mean, let's be honest. If you told everybody, in the city of Cincinnati and the other suburbs over there in Kentucky, if they had to just pay $1 to afford Joe Burrow and they just got a community GoFundMe together, which is probably what they're going to have to do because Cincinnati's such a poverty franchise.
Okay,
I mean, no joke. Their practice facility is absolutely garbage. But they will be able to afford. I know one way or another.
I know we're down with the Browns podcast, but I do want to give some voice to some of the Cincinnati Bengals fans we have in the comments right now. Taylor makes a great point. They have naming rights to the stadium for cash, suites. They're generating cash.
I just looked it up. How much do you think that is? $16.7 million total for the naming rights of the stadium.
Yeah.
So Matty G came.
But here's the numbers. But here's the thing, Matty G. Matty G.
70% of that.
Here's the question. Go ahead.
Hold on. The Bengals only get 70% of that sales revenue. Like, as someone who has worked for a professional sports team, and this goes across all three. People bringing up suite sales. Those go to cover your overhead. And for your non-finance people, your overhead is what you have to incur to operate your business. So the suite is going towards the upkeep of the stadium, paying all the stadium workers because there's new legislation that was passed in the state of Ohio that raises minimum wage, and the NFL actually just issued where you have to pay your workers a certain amount of money at the stadium. That's not cheap. And keep in mind, the Bengals, I just look up the lease, are responsible for the upkeep of Paycor Stadium. So any renovations that they need to do to that stadium, which they're coming due soon, stadiums about every 25 to 30 years need some sort of foundation upkeep. Like, if you keep going through this, like, sure, $16.7 million, that's cute, Mike Brown. That's awesome. You just maybe bought yourself a stadium renovation. You don't have the money. You don't.
I want to say, Taylor says, and if I'm being honest, I do think Burrow takes less guaranteed money, and he will eat a turd if the Bengals do not sign Joe Burrow.
We will bookmark that?
We will bookmark that. We will clip that.
Okay.
But here's the thing. I do want to say the one caveat to all of us are saying is if Joe Burrow pulls a Tom Brady-esque move and just takes less money. And gives it to other wide receivers. You don't know. You don't know if that.
I mean, he's going to have to. I mean, he's going to have to, or he's going to end up dead. He's going to straight up end up dead. His pass protection is terrible.
Like what Max said, and also let's keep in mind the era of that Joe Burrow comes from the social media era. He's not from the Tom Brady era where, like Tom Brady is the number 199th overall pick. Up until I would say even 5 years ago, he was just kind of happy to be there. He was thankful. Joey B's the golden boy. He was getting wrongly compared to LeBron James, who will never, ever, ever be anywhere near to that. Joey B will never be able to hold LeBron's jockstrap.
But Joey B also doesn't pay for anything living around Cincinnati. Are you telling me that like this man, when he goes out, pays for dinner? He pays for his drinks. Right. I mean, you also got to think that he's making money through like other things.
Era, but it's not how you're active on social media. It's how, for example, but like, do you ever see Tom Brady wearing the chains that Joe Burrow does and that type of stuff? Like, it's an attitude. It's an attitude.
Matty G, though. Joe Burrow is an extremely private person, though. Like Joe Burrow is actually documented and is on the record for being like that man does not leave his house. Like he does not go outside.
He does a lot of interviews though.
But that's one thing if you're doing interviews, even if you've seen on Monday Night Football, he's literally doing interviews.
No, I mean outside of that though.
But you don't see him outside. He's not on social media posting to his story, keeping up his story like Antonio Brown does. You know what I mean? Like Tom Brady does, throwing comics out there before games. Like Joe Burrow's not that guy. You know what I mean? He might be a little flashy, he might have grills, but he's not that guy. I think
I got a counter for you, Manny. I got a counter for you. Ask any Ohio State fan about Joey Bosa. Very quiet guy, doesn't do much. He's not like his brother Nick. He was very much in the shadows. Why did he not play why did it take him 4 games to play with the Chargers? Because he was insulted by their first offer and didn't feel like he was getting paid.
At the same time, he's a defensive end, and defensive end high money compared to a decent quarterback's high money is a complete different thing. He wants to be paid like a top defensive end.
No, I'm talking about from the draft. He felt he was insulted and not paid what he was worth. You don't know. Joe Burrow could be like, because here's the thing is, why should Joe Burrow take a pay cut? Like, let's be honest here, because he could go out and there's all these teams like the Raiders, for example. They would
like Lamar.
Hand him, look at Lamar.
Lamar's different though. Lamar's different.
Look, no, it's not.
Lamar Jackson's situation.
Hold on.
Lamar Jackson's situation.
Let's talk about the Lamar situation.
Let's talk about Lamar because
Lamar Jackson's situation.
So I want to drop this right here, and a lot of people are going to get upset with me, but go ahead and cry. Everybody's talking about, if Lamar Jackson would have played last night, the game would have been closer. No, it wouldn't. Because here's the thing, that joke that I made earlier in my opening segment, that's a real thing. Like, go ahead, look at the stats. Like Tyler Huntley has a better career passer rating in the playoffs than Lamar Jackson by 30 points.
He's right. I mean, I hate to say it.
So, like, you Baltimore Ravens fans say, Lamar
would have, could have, should have. I don't think. I agree. I don't think he would have made that much of a difference.
Lamar is absolute garbage in the playoffs.
I don't think he fumbles
because he's Lamar actually has a bad problem of fumbling in the red zone.
Yeah.
They
probably would have handed it off to J.K. If they would have handed it off to J.K. Dobbins, it would have been over.
That's
what they really should have done.
It's just like you have. I mean, dude, maybe John Harbaugh's just been hanging out with Kevin Stefanski too much, because the whole like his running back is averaging over 5 yards a carry and he just doesn't want to hand it off. It's like what are you doing, man?
I got to head back to the cell here real quickly. So for my last point, I know everyone criticized this, but I think last night you saw my guy Sashi Brown playing 4D chess. As people know, Sashi's the president of the Ravens. What he has done, if you think about it, I think that the Ravens learned from the Browns. I think this time last year they sat down and discussed Lamar Jackson's a great human, great quarterback. He is not the one to get us to the promised land. And this whole past year, what all they've done is let Lamar hang himself. Think about it. Think about it. This time last year, everyone was going after the Ravens for not paying Lamar, but like Taylor just brought up, Lamar plays that game if he has a contract. People are now starting to turn on Lamar Jackson a little bit. Not traveling with the team, his teammates kind of being like, this guy's not trying. There's some leaks coming out. Maybe he's not rehabbing his injuries. I think the Ravens just set back and kind of let Lamar get to himself and get to a position where they can get rid of the quarterback that they know won't take them anywhere. They can ship him off, get a few picks, and pick up the guy that they want. In some ways, I would be very curious to see if they learned from the Browns situation with Baker Mayfield last year, because the Browns in some ways let Baker do the same thing and hang himself, but they just acted too quickly. If the Browns would have traded Baker before trying and going and getting Watson, I think the Browns probably get a day 2 pick. The reason why they got a 5th round pick, not just because Baker was bad, is because they had no leverage. So, all right, I'll catch you guys next week.
Hey, Matty G.
Hey,
Peace out, Matty G. Thank you so much for stopping by. Matty G always in here getting us riled up, getting everybody, the viewers and everybody in the comments.
Speaking of the Lamar Jackson situation, where do you guys see him landing? Because there's a new spot, and I know Seattle is really big on Geno Smith.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there was a thing, I think it was Richard Sherman, he brought it up. Could they swap Geno plus picks for Lamar with Baltimore?
I'll take this first. I do want to just shout out to, again, a lot of the commenters on Twitter. Mac, you might have to back yourself up about saying that that Lamar Jackson wouldn't have made a difference, because a couple commenters, Jay.
What are they crying? Somebody's crying in the comments?
They said that's cap.
They said that's cap. We're gonna have to talk about it. Lamar Jackson would have made a difference. Lamar Jackson would have made a difference in that Cincinnati game. I agree. First and foremost, I agree with Taylor. If Lamar Jackson had a contract, he would be playing. He would have been playing in that Ravens game. That's number one.
He's done.
Number two, this situation with Lamar Jackson is completely different than Joe Burrow's, because Lamar is asking for more money because the Baltimore Ravens refuse to give him help time and time again. We've seen this in the draft. We've seen this all about different situations when it goes to wide receivers, sending them away rather than giving him wide receivers. And I want to touch a little bit on what Jeff said, and then I'll give who I think Lamar is going to go to. Jeff says, what about Lamar in Tampa? I don't think Lamar is going to go to Tampa, because I truly believe, despite my name in quote tweets, Brady's final game, I'm just trolling. I do believe that Tom Brady's going to be back in Tampa for one more year. And then that'll be his final season. Lamar Jackson is going to the Detroit Lions. Lamar Jackson is going to the Detroit Lions. And a lot of people are saying they have a quarterback. No, they don't. They do not trust Jared Goff like you think they trust Jared Goff. They want to get rid of that contract. And if they want to give that contract to somebody else who they believe in the future is going to turn their whole entire franchise around, I believe it's Lamar Jackson, because one, Lamar Jackson's better at passing. They're going to get Jameson Williams back next season. And going with that defense and Aiden Hutchinson and how he's playing so far, and just giving a little bit of spark to Detroit, because Aaron Rodgers might not be in Green Bay. And I believe that Dan Campbell thinks the Detroit Lions are in striking distance for that division. They don't trust Minnesota, and we don't trust Minnesota. So nobody trusts it. So if you had your choice between Jared Goff's contract and giving Lamar Jackson a giant contract, I think you'd give Lamar Jackson that money. And then that's why I think he's going to be in Detroit in a dome and gets to play in a dome twice a year. Man, Lamar Jackson, it's going to help.
Well,
Lamar Jackson.
It makes sense, because they're a running team. Right? They have Swift, they have Williams, and you have your deep threat with Jameson Williams, and then you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's a 100-catch wide receiver. So it's just you have all those pieces. Now, again, nothing wrong with Jared Goff, but he just doesn't he just doesn't have that second gear in him, right? He did make some plays in Green Bay late in the year, but they were few and far and in between.
Matt, can you elaborate a little bit more on the Lamar Jackson wouldn't have helped the Baltimore Ravens versus
okay.
I just Jay wants to say you can't convince me that.
Lamar Jackson. Oh, this is my favorite. So, for every one of our viewers at home, do yourself a favor. Go on this search engine called Google, and just type in Lamar Jackson playoff stats, right? So the playoffs are these games that happen after the 17-game season, into which they matter a little bit more. They're big games, right? So a franchise quarterback should show up in big games. So in 4 games in his career, passer rating of 6, passer rating, not completion percentage, passer rating, Baltimore, 68 passer rating, 900 yards between 4 games, 3 touchdowns, 5 interceptions.
How many fumbles?
You tell me. How many fumbles? We didn't even talk about fumbles. We did not even talk about
and how many rushing
fumbles.
touchdowns too?
So that touchdown, that's total.
3 touchdowns.
Oh, and he's also taken 19 sacks. Huh. Wow. That's more than 4 sacks a game. So that's yeah. Let's just call it how it is. Let's not dance around it. A turd's a turd. Go ahead, shine it up. Tell him that he beat up on a couple of bad Browns defenses. They had the 4th place schedule for a season here and there. His injuries have now caught up to him. I do think that he definitely can succeed somewhere else, but he's not a playoff QB. And if he was, the Ravens would have paid him. It's not a big mystery. If he was a good playoff QB and he could get the job done, don't you think he would have gotten a contract? Don't you? So and Baltimore, and I hate to do this to you guys. I know you love watching The Wire and hitting that Old Bay seasoning on some crab legs and just pretending that it's safe to go out in downtown Baltimore at night, but it's not. And Lamar Jackson's not a playoff QB. He's just not. So just give it up. Because we had to give it up with Baker. You got to give it up with Lamar.
So can I elaborate on the Lamar to the Seahawks? Going into the 2023 season, the Seattle Seahawks have the 5th most cap in the NFL. So there's the contract money. They also have a top 5 pick this year from the Rams. Plus, they have another first-round pick, which is theirs. So they're going to probably 2 first-round picks for him, maybe 3, probably. So I think that they do 2 to 3 first-round picks plus Geno Smith for Lamar Jackson and maybe like a 6th or something, because they always throw like a weird pick in there too.
This is why I don't think that he'll go to Seattle. I think that Pete Carroll and the front office in Seattle are, what's the word? I don't know if I want to use thankful for Geno Smith, but I think they're so impressed with Geno Smith right now.
They can rally around that guy.
Right. And they're playing with house money in Seattle right now. I mean, they are a very good football team. They're a very surprising football team. And you put that and you couple that with the fact that they have a lot of draft picks. They might just want to build around Geno Smith. He's 32 years old, but he looked really good in Seattle. And I don't think they want to blow that up just yet because they see San Francisco is doing really well. I think they want to take a season or 2 back, let San Francisco have their time, but they realize they're looking at LA and they're like, they were one and done. They're looking at Arizona and they're like, Kyler Murray, they're about to get rid of DeAndre Hopkins. They're about to start all over with Kyler Murray and get a new head coach and everything. They're like, we can take this thing and, they're probably looking at Brock Purdy and saying, we're not really that afraid of Brock Purdy, although he beat him in the playoffs. I think they're going to move on with Geno Smith and then later in 2 seasons try to go after their quarterback, their missing piece in the draft. Because again, they completely fleeced.
They have a top 5 pick, don't they?
Yeah,
5th.
So
you're telling. I mean, I don't see like both Levis and Bryce Young. Like I don't know, especially at
Bryce
5,
would be a top 3 pick.
Who's to say, that they don't have Geno Smith as their bridge quarterback and they just bring in a young guy, whether it's one of these top guys or they could take a chance on a project. The quarterback from Tennessee is getting drafted.
Yeah.
that's going.
Hendon
I
Hooker.
can't- Yeah, and
Oh,
yeah,
he's a late
yeah,
kicker. He's
yeah.
like 25.
Yeah.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. Like, what stops them from just having Geno as their starter now, and eventual bridge QB to a young guy? I mean, they can win with Geno Smith. I don't like it's, and I know this sounds such a lame, excuse of why they wouldn't do that and why they wouldn't go after Lamar like that. It's when you mess with a guy that's been winning and has that locker room, it kind of sends a weird message, right? And it kind of goes back to Manny's point to where Lamar Jackson has now upset some of his teammates. I mean, if he didn't and he was still having this contract problems and they didn't pay him and they shipped him off somewhere else, that would send such a weird, kind of, because this is their guy, right? This is Geno Smith, the dude that everybody had wrote off and he didn't write back. And he took this team and he not only won some games, he overexceeded expectations.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
not only to his teammates, but the city is behind this guy.
Exactly.
So I think that at the very least, they have an important roster spot with him. Whether or not they bring in a QB, I don't think they ship him out.
I don't think they ship him out either. And I know. So obviously, I do want to address what Jeff is saying, because okay, if Lamar is not going to be in Tampa, then I want to talk about what about Lamar to Vegas. But I do want to wrap up my point just about to end that kind of discussion for Lamar Jackson if he would have made a difference in Cincinnati. I as upon thinking about it and hearing some of the things that Jay's saying in the Twitter comments, I actually think that he might have made a difference in game planning and just having some more experience and confidence. I just felt as though Tyler Huntley looked a little bit scared in the first half, and Lamar Jackson may or may not have felt that way and done that. But I'm happy that Lamar Jackson, whether he sat out on his own or got some sort of advice to sit out, I'm glad that he didn't. I would hate for him to have a career-ending injury like RG3 did in a situation where he's playing and just throwing a brace on it and going out there. But
especially in the middle of a contract.
Exactly, especially in the middle of a contract. That's Baltimore. That's Baltimore's best case scenario, right? Then it actually gives them a full reason why we can't give you a contract and we're going to franchise tag you. And Lamar's like, you know what? I just can't take it anymore. I really can't. You guys are playing with my money. I know I can make more money elsewhere. I cannot believe you guys don't trust me. You never give me any weapons or anything I ask for. So, but Lamar Jackson going to Las Vegas would be a trade, right? Because Derek Carr, he has to be traded because Derek Carr also has a no trade clause with Las Vegas, so he would have to be traded to Baltimore. That's why I don't see him going to Las Vegas. Do you guys?
No, not really. It's like Las Vegas doesn't really have any draft capital to begin with because they kind of sold the farm for Devontae Adams. They got to find a way to get rid of Derek Carr and the whole benching thing and making it a whole scene. And now he had said a goodbye. That just tanks his capital because now teams know that he's trying to get out of there. So it's just that whoever's going to get Derek Carr is going to get. The only thing like problem wise that they're going to get from that trade is just Derek Carr's contract. Because outside of that, they're going to have all the leverage. He's going to go for probably maybe a 2 and a 3 if that. A big one that I see. I could see the Jets. I know a lot of people are talking about that. I think it's going to be really interesting to watch this whole circus just keep going. Because what was really weird is that he didn't even travel with the team. Now,
that was very weird.
COVID
that was very
weird. Changed that whole travel rule. With injured guys that are, technically inactive and injured, usually for quite some time. I'm not sure if they changed it within the past year, but at first they weren't allowed to move, go with the team for away games. So I don't know if that's still the case, but if he had a chance to go to the game and he didn't, that's kind of
Jeff said,
what are you
that's
doing?
it's a huge. That is a weird situation. I've never heard of that. Like even T.J. Watt, if he had like shoulder surgery, he'd be on the sidelines with the Steelers like the next Sunday. Jeff says, well, if it's based on draft capital, then the Texans have a ton to give for Lamar Jackson. Jeff, I'm not just saying no to all of the things you're saying, but the reason I wouldn't also say Houston is I don't think that Houston's ready to be all in just yet. Their team is bad. They are a very bad football team, and I think
they do have a good running back.
They do have a very good running back.
John Mechie's coming back next year.
That is very true. That is also very true.
Brandon Cooks is still there.
Brandon Cook's going to be gone. Brandon Cooks,
he's out of
there.
Well,
I mean, if he catches wind, that they make that trade. What I'm saying is that if the trade is offered, and Brandon Cooks is still there, like.
Yeah, Jeff said we're running out of plays. Listen,
Minnesota.
Listen, Minnesota. If they want to, you have the Jets. You have Miami. You have the Washington Commanders. If they want to make, you have the Patriots out there. I don't really see the Patriots. I don't know if Bill Belichick. I don't know if Bill Belichick is ready to make that kind of move because again, I don't see him.
He did really want him in the draft.
He did want him in the draft, but I don't know if he's a big trade guy. Capital, give everybody exactly. You know what I mean? It is really weird. I do think Detroit, Washington would be a very good a place. Some people are saying New York with the Giants, but after Daniel Jones, no. After Daniel Jones playoff win, no. But I do believe Washington might not be a bad place.
Since we're down with the Browns, how about we talk a little bit about the Browns? We've talked about these other teams enough.
Yeah.
So we are on the defensive coordinator hiring process right now. So the following candidates are the ones who have already interviewed for the job. Brian Flores from the Steelers, Jim Schwartz from the Titans, Denard Wilson from the Eagles, and Sean Desai from the Seahawks have all interviewed. Are any of those four the guys that you guys want? I know Manny, he's a big Flores guy, and you're a big Schwartz guy. I've kind of switched my pick on the situation. I was a big Flores guy, but he's starting to get like head coaching offers. So I've kind of switched it to Jim Schwartz. The article that Mac put out was baller and broke it down, and like it swayed me. I'm not gonna lie. It made me want Jim Schwartz as our DC next year. And if one of you guys want to take it over and talk about who you guys
I will take it just because we're going to talk about Jim Schwartz. Now, PSA to everybody listening out there, I love Brian Flores. I love his way of, sticking true to cover zero. And how aggressive he is on defense and his ability to create turnovers on the field is absolutely amazing. If the Browns were to hire him as defensive coordinator, I would go absolutely nuts. I would love it. But Jim Schwartz is the best pick. If you want to go check out my article, it is on BetJack right now. But just to sum it up, Jim Schwartz, he's been a defensive coordinator for a long time. A lot of people know this guy just as a random Lions head coach, but dig a little bit deeper. He's had a very long tenure with the Tennessee Titans, was a part of the Super Bowl staff that ended up losing to the Rams. And then he won a Super Bowl as the defense coordinator for Philadelphia Eagles. He runs a 4-3, similar to, what Joe Woods runs. But his twist on it is he runs what is around the league is a wide nine concept. Now, what that is that so instead of the defensive end lining outside of the tackle, he's going to basically end up where outside shade of a tight end, and he's going to be cocked at a 45-degree angle, just making it easier to rush with. Now, Miles has done this before. There was actually some tape on the game in Cincinnati last year, and it's just hold on. I'm trying to find. Here it is. So right here, you see how he's lined up outside that tight end?
Yeah.
Right here. So normally he would be right about there, but he's right outside shade of the tight end, and he's cocked at a 45-degree angle. Just the way that this offensive tackle has to pass set against a wide nine is is insane because he has to get so deep to where and the whole point of this is to put the offensive tackle on an island, right? And just makes the job easier for the defensive end. So one thing is Myles Garrett's job would become increasingly easier rushing the passer, which I'm all for, considering the fact that he's the most doubled defensive end in the league, which I can't get over that. Get the man some help. Get the man some help. So I love that part of it. And I also love the fact that 8 times Jim Schwartz has had a top 5 run defense. 8 times. There's a lot of these guys that are getting interviewed that weren't even, legitimate coordinators for 8 years. So Jim Schwartz, what when you bring in Jim Schwartz to the building, number one, he's going to make the job easier for Myles Garrett. And number two, he's going to fix the run defense because let's stop with this whole Brandon Staley thing that he coached in Ohio for a couple of years. Let's stop this whole, we're going to bring in this this assistant from Seattle that was, he had a good pass defense with the Bears. Stop it. Just stop it. The run defense needs fixed, and it's not just a talent thing. It's not. Now, is that what we kind of thought at the beginning of the season? Oh, wow. It's like our defensive ends, we got to kind of mold them like clay because they're young guys, and the defensive tackle room is just absolutely terrible and just neglected. That's not it. Dig deeper. I'm telling you guys, rewatch the games. These guys are out of gaps. It's just undisciplined football.
Jay in the Twitter comment says Buffalo's cooking right now. Fire emoji.
Yeah, it's just they don't understand gap integrity and even and I know this sounds crazy, and I really wish I could pull up just some clip to describe it, but one defender in the box is out of their gap, and that running back is sprung for big plays. And that's where all these chunk plays against the Browns have come from. So when you bring in a guy like Jim Schwartz, a guy that knows how to run a tight ship in the front 7, that's what you're getting with him. And I'm 100% all for it.
I like Jim Schwartz. If the question was who is the most realistic defensive coordinator that you think the Browns are going to get, but if the question is who do I want, who can I pick, who can I choose to bring in, and that's one that is getting head coaching jobs, head coaching interviews, it's Brian Flores. I want Brian Flores for many of the reasons, and Miami fans are talking about how horrible of a job that he did in Miami with the offense because he's a defensive-minded guy, right? I mean, Mike McDaniels is all offense all the time, first and foremost. So, secondly, Brian Flores goes to Pittsburgh. The reason I like Brian Flores a lot is because it's like he commands respect when he walks into a room. And I think that's with an offense and a defense with a Myles Garrett and a Denzel Ward and John Johnson. I don't even know if John Johnson will even be here. Probably not. But a defense hopefully not. A defense with a lot of big personalities, but more of a quiet, laid back, but like a more of a that command. They're shut him out of here. Shut him out of here. Guys on defense that are all pros, but are more quieter guys. I feel like Brian Flores is a guy that commands respect once he's in that room. And with that, I think you kind of get a little respect for Myles Garrett because you're coming off of a team that, hey, the guy that everybody freaking compares me to is TJ Watt. And if you bring him a guy that says, hey, I saw what TJ Watt was doing, man, you're better at TJ Watt with these things, and I want to put you in this kind of formation, and this is what we used over there. Although he was just a linebackers coach in Pittsburgh, he wasn't the actual defensive coordinator. But you're also sitting in a situation where you're asking yourself, hey, if Kevin Stefanski is gone after 2023, who would you rather have your head coach, Jim Schwartz or Brian Flores? And you might make the case that if Brian Flores is your defensive coordinator in 2023, Brian Flores can slide right into being head coach going into 2024. So it's like, and then you give the offensive play calling to somebody else. But if I got to choose personally, I would love the guy who just came over from my division rival. You know, you have stars who are similar in aspects, similar somewhat position-wise, not completely, but similar position groups as defensive stars. So I think Brian Flores would be a really good fit here in Cleveland. But again, who's realistically it might be Jim Schwartz.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, hey, Manny, I'd love to piggyback off of that because, like I said earlier, if they hired Jim Schwartz, I'd be all for it. Especially because he loves man coverage, and we just simply have the secondary for it. You know, we have top man corners in Denzel, Greg, and then as well as Martin Emerson. And then you mix that in with Grant Delpit and his versatility, as well as Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I mean, look at what Brian Flores did with Javon Holland and Jerome Baker and the multiple things that he asked them to do. And we were talking about Myles Garrett earlier. And what's been the biggest problem for Myles Garrett all year is that the fact that teams are begging someone else to rush the passer and get to the quarterback. Brian Flores loves pressure. He will not let a quarterback be comfortable. And if a quarterback's going to beat him, then they got to make the tightest throws and, you know, absolutely try to find that 1% chance where that football can fit in there. So, you know, if they were to somehow get Brian Flores, I would be absolutely floored. I'd love it.
Absolutely. And Andrew's bringing up a point in the comments and saying that, you know, wanting Flores just because he'd be a good head coach in 2024 is a bad idea. Look, first and foremost, and talking about like Pittsburgh having more talent in the front seven. Yes, that's obviously.
Well, duh, they have Cameron Hayward. All right.
I agree.
And also furthermore, it's a losing mentality.
Tackle like Cameron Hayward. Stop it.
I want to talk about that for a second. If you have a guy or an owner or mechanic, and he's had a horrible Toyota Camry or a really good Toyota Camry, and you're going to bring in a guy to work on your Toyota Camry, you've seen what a good Toyota Camry is. You've seen what it looks like. You've seen what the interior of it looks like, the under the hood and everything. I want you to come fix my car because you know what good looks like. So if you're bringing in Brian Flores, yes, he had a better front seven than the Cleveland Browns in Pittsburgh. Yes, that's true. But at least when he gets here, he knows. What did you say?
I said he wouldn't call him plays.
Exactly, he's a linebacker coach. But you've seen what's good over there. You've seen when we come over here, you know, hey, I know what we probably need, whether it's in the linebacker room or somebody on the line. If I can suggest some names, that'd be great. That's why I like that. Also, it's not a losing mentality to just think about the optimistic things. That hey, if Kevin Stefanski might be gone, this is point number 57, or way back at the bottom priority, like way low priority. But it's hey, if Kevin Stefanski were to be gone, worst case scenario, we have Brian Flores who could just slide right into the head coach. It's not a losing mentality if you're just thinking of it as a.
Has he ever been a defensive coordinator?
Brian Flores?
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Was.
No, he was. I just looked it up. It says his time with he was a defensive assistant and special teams coach in 10, a defensive assistant in 11. Safeties coach from 12 to 15, and then linebackers coach from 16 to 18, and then head coach, and then Pittsburgh. So he's never actually called plays.
DC, yeah,
he's never been a defensive coordinator.
No.
So I think
unless in Miami he was calling defensive plays for 3 years.
Well, he probably was.
I think that he was calling defensive plays.
He was definitely.
By the way,
plays while he was in Miami. And I mean, he led the number one team in takeaways in 2020,
and he revived and he ramped up Emmanuel Aguilar's career.
One thing I do like about Flores is he has 4 Super Bowl rings.
Yeah,
we need some of them. So you get some Super Bowl experience. That's what I like. That's what I think the Browns need to go after. If they go after like these vet minimum contracts, they need to go after guys with Super Bowl experience.
That's true.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm a big guy on that. But like you said, Jim Schwartz does have Super Bowl himself.
Joe Woods does have a Super Bowl though. So he
don't count.
Von Miller gifted him that Super Bowl. Let's move on.
Listen.
He bought his Super Bowl ring at Goodwill.
Super Bowl ring.
He bought his Super Bowl ring at Goodwill. So Joe Woods does not count.
All right, we all submitted our picks for Buck or Bucks.
Oh, Buccaneers and versus
Cowboys.
Cowboys. Yeah, we could do. We
Yeah.
can do. I do want to do that preview as we wrap up the show because we want to get all the listeners and the viewers off to watch that performance tonight. Cowboys versus Buccaneers are at 8:15. I want to hear some of your guys' picks for this game because it's a very interesting game. It's a very interesting game tonight. So KFC, what are you thinking? Dallas Cowboys.
I think Tom Brady's gonna have that Tom Brady game. He's not gonna lose to the Cowboys, and I think that the Dallas Cowboys are on the hinge of a big blow up in Dallas. Let's be real. I mean, everything's not looking so hot from the outside. They don't like their coach. They don't like their quarterback. They don't like the big contract for Zeke. They've got to pay Tony Pollard. It's just not looking good. So I think all that's going to get in their heads, and I think Tampa Bay is going to win. So.
All right, Mac. So ESPN has a 67% chance of the Cowboys beating the Buccaneers. I want to hear what your percentages are. Do you think that the Cowboys are going to beat the Buccaneers? What's your preview on that?
Hey, ESPN, you've been watching the Cowboys for the past couple weeks because Dak Prescott's had 5 turnovers in the past 3 weeks. I mean, this is a guy that's been leading the league in interceptions despite missing 6 games. So he's tied for number 1 with Davis Mills, by the way, for the most interceptions in the league, yet he's missed 6 games. And here's the thing. So, and I know that there's been a lot of tipped balls and whatever. Turnovers are still turnovers. They're not playing in Jerry World. They're going down to Pirate Island down in Tampa Bay, where old man Tom Brady is going to strut out there for the 300th time for a playoff game and do what he's been doing, since I was picking my nose playing Pokemon on the Game Boy Color. I mean, Tom Brady in the playoffs is like mustard on a hot dog. Like, you know what I mean? You don't really know. You don't know life without it. It's almost like it's a staple. It's something that, whether or not you like it, you see it all the time because it's just what happens. It's a part of life. So for me to bet against Tom Brady while, believing in this Cowboys offense, which, by the way, the Cowboys don't even know who their best player is. Yeah. Because they don't even half the time want to give Tony Pollard the ball when he's been a better back than Zeke for the past 3 years. And Cowboy fans will tell you that. So Bucks at least by 10 today.
So Andrew said, is Tony Pollard dinged up? Yes, he is dinged up, but he is not out. He is active for this game versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Again, so ESPN has the spread at the Cowboys minus 2.5. I think, I think the Bucs are going to have out their guard too, Nick Leverett, I'm pretty sure. So Troy Aikman's not at all in Dak's category. I think that's what Andrew's trying to say. But I do have the Cowboys winning this game. Tom Brady is 7-0 all time against the Dallas Cowboys. Streaks were meant to be broken. That's number 1. Number 2, there's something about Dallas, and if there's any time that you can just bank on just the sheer aura of something, it's like the Dallas Cowboys always have their way. There's something to have in their hat-ons, and I think that this is going to be the game where they're like, well, we just beat Tom Brady, and we never beat Tom Brady, and we beat him in the playoffs in Tampa Bay, and their fans are going to be so excited moving into next game. I think sheerly that for some weird reason tonight, starting at 8:15, the Dallas Cowboys are going to walk into Tampa Bay and find themselves a dub. I think Micah Parsons is going to come up huge for the Dallas Cowboys. Give Tom Brady to send him out on Tampa Bay and basically show, that they are the up-and-coming team. And honestly, do the Dallas Cowboys want to be the last NFC East team to be kicked out of the playoffs? Sources, trust me, bro. Literally, this is a source is trust me, bro. Moment. Quite literally, this is a pristine moment. Andrew says the Dallas defense has to win it for them, and I think that that's going to be the case. I think that Micah Parsons is going to come up with a huge sack and also get a forced fumble in this game. Dallas is going to win this game. It's going to be a close one, just like all the other playoff games were.
Did you guys take a look at who was activated today? By the way,
no, we didn't.
Ryan Jensen. Their starting center. I think they're going to be able to get the run game going today. So
yeah.
Something to look for.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that's a big thing for them. So what was your picks again? Like, what was your record on picks so far, Manny?
For
Yeah,
our down with the Browns picks, I'm 3-2 right now.
3-2. I'm 4-1. Max 4-1. I think we're all 4-1.
Matty G's 4-1.
except for
yeah.
Manny.
Except for me, I'm 3-2.
Yeah.
I'm 3-2.
Are we picking next week? Because I mean, I already have my picks regardless of who wins tonight.
What are the games again? I forgot. I haven't looked at how they seeded them.
So Jags at Chiefs. That's going to be the 4:00 game. Or is it 1 o'clock? Either way, the first game up on Saturday is going to be Jags and Chiefs. I have the Chiefs just simply because, I mean, it's in Arrowhead. I do think that, Trevor Lawrence is going to put up a good fight. But, I mean, Patty Mahomes is Patty Mahomes. He's going to do some, like, stupid magician thing and, like, close his eyes and heave it into, double coverage.
Where he
Travis
puts
Kelce.
the ball in between his feet and just launches it 35 yards down to Kelce, and he takes it for Tutty.
Yeah, I mean, we can all here agree that the Chiefs are going to win, right?
Yeah, I got the Chiefs.
Okay. All right. So Giant at Eagles. I'll let you guys go first on this one.
Oh, being around here in the Philly area. Shout out to Andrew. Listen to great Ann Pearl next time you make picks, man. That's very true. I got to listen to Ann Pearl. But being right here in the Philly area, I know that those fans are going to go crazy. Saquon Barkley's from the area. Went to Whitehall High School in Allentown. I think that those fans are going to be reckless. It's a division game. I don't know if Giants fans are going to be able to just rest, just sit and watch the game in peace, because those Eagles fans are going to be mauling. It's Eagles. It's going to be Eagles. They beat them twice in the regular season, and going against my rule of you can't beat a team 3 times in one season. It's crazy. So I don't know what that was, but
But yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be the Eagles. I think Jalen Hurts is going to do his thing in the playoffs, and the Eagles will advance. So what's that?
There's always one upset in the divisional round, and sometimes that top seed goes down. I do think the Giants are going to pull out a win on this one. The Giants ran the ball very well and proved that Daniel Jones can scramble. The boy can scoot. So watch him to get some big runs in there. I mean, Saquon Barkley didn't even get the ball that much last game, and they were still able to generate a lot of offense there. The thing with the Eagles, I loved watching them this year. They were such an explosive offense, and you hate to see it, because if Jalen Hurts is absolutely 100%, I'd take Eagles 10 times out of 10. But the thing is that he's not. And you can have his last game on tape as proof. He did not look good. He just couldn't put the ball. You sprained your throwing shoulder. Now, granted, anybody that hasn't had a shoulder sprain can't really speak on it. I've had one personally, and the inflammation in general on a daily basis is absolutely terrible. And this is on a guy's throwing shoulder. I get it that these guys are superb athletes, but they are human, right? And I don't think that Jalen Hurts is healthy right now. They had the week off, and sometimes when teams have the week off, they get rusty. So I think they'll come out slow, and the Giants are built to be ahead in terms of, if they start fast, they win just because of how well they run the ball. So I take the Giants here. I think it's going to be a close game, though.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So what's that next game?
The next game is whoever
San Francisco.
plays San Fran.
Yeah, whoever wins tonight plays San Fran.
I mean Brock Purdy. Stop it. Yeah,
no,
give me
San Fran.
49ers.
San Fran's advancing.
Well, I want to know who they play.
Oh, like that makes a difference?
No, I just want to write it down so I can have it in my book here.
Oh,
so
no.
Write down my picks.
It would be the winner of the Cowboys and Buccaneers.
Yeah.
So that's why.
I thought you were just holding out.
No.
Okay.
Whoever wins tonight plays San Fran, which I think, to Mac's point, it doesn't matter because San Fran's going to win that game. But then I believe that they're going to lose to the Eagles, and then the Eagles are going to Super Bowl. But that's just that's too much foreshadowing. But again, I think that it was a great show. We're going to leave the
Bill Cincy, by the way.
Oh, Bill Cincinnati. Oh, of course, yes. We have to go over the Bill Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah, go ahead, Mac. What do you think about that?
Oh, okay. So like I said before, when we were talking about the Bills game earlier on the show, they did look sloppy, and it was just simply because they were trying to go for the home run. I think Ken Dorsey sits down with Josh Allen this week and just saying, hey, we're gonna actually instead of taking our shot plays all the time, we're gonna maybe try a little bit some short and intermediate routes as well and take advantage of a very banged up Bengals team. And I'm sorry for everybody in the state of Kentucky, but the Bengals ran out of luck, and it is what it is. And I'm not saying this from like a skill standpoint. I'm just saying it from a health standpoint. When Eli Apple's got to guard the best wide receiver in the opposing team, sorry about that. And ask any Cincinnati Bengals fan how Jackson Carman has worked out. So he was a second-round pick. He was brought in to be a guard. He started 3 games his rookie year, if that. So now he's got to come in and be the backup left tackle. So that's Joe Burrow's blind side. He's already been getting sacked on an average of four times per game. And he's not even – yes, he's mobile, but he's not one of those mobile guys that gets himself into trouble. That's just the constant pressure that the man is facing. So I think the luck runs out. I think the Bills are going to take this one. And again, I think it's going to be a shootout, but I think Bills are going to edge them.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Bills got this one. I think they've got more to play for. I think that the situation with DeMar Hamlin's got the whole team kind of more riled up, and I think that they're going to be playing for him even more, especially since this was the game that it happened in. I think they're going to be laser focused on the Bengals, and I think the Bills come out with a W.
I think that's the reason I'm going to turn this against you guys and say that Cincinnati is going to pull out this game. Cincinnati had Paycor bussing. They were buzzing so loudly for that Monday night game against the Buffalo Bills. They really wanted that win. They were up 7-3 at the time. I truly believe that they've been waiting for this entire time. They saw how dirty the league did them with postponing the game and saying it was a coin flip depending on if they lost a certain game or not. They want this game. They want this game, and now it's going to be in Buffalo, and they know that. They don't have the opportunity to host a playoff game. So I truly believe they're going to go into Buffalo, and they're going to be locked in just as much as Buffalo's locked in. And I think that Cincinnati locked in is a little bit more scary than Buffalo locked in. I really do. So we're going to see that. We're going to see that on Sunday. So,
all righty. So we've got our picks in. I guess our records we'll know the extent of our records here in about 3 or 4 hours.
That's right.
So right now, me, Mac, and Matty G are all tied at 4-1, and Manny is 3-2.
We're all going to be 4-2 after tonight. Just letting you guys know because the Cowboys are going to win.
I reckon I'm going to be 5-1, and that's a great way to end the episode. And go Browns!
Go Browns!
Go Browns, baby!
Birds up!